today about is really playing cards, luck. And this stuff I'm talking about is the stuff that the really good players get right almost 100% of the time,
And we do.
and the really bad players get it wrong almost 100% of the time. Like when I played with Aletha, she'd get these right every time. When I was paying attention, I'd get them right too. But when I wasn't paying attention, then I'd get them wrong. And then I'd get to hear about it. The key thing is always think ahead of time and play in tempo. Like anytime you hesitate, you're giving information. You're telling both your partner and the opponent, so you got something to think about. Otherwise you would have played already. And then they could think, what do you have to think about? And sometimes you just gave away a card in your hand, so it's bad for you. Sometimes it helps your partner, and then they call a director on you. Because you can't give unauthorized information to your partner. Like, so think when it's not your turn. Think what's likely to happen and bid or play there. Anyway, we're going to talk about a couple things with the play of hand. A lot of times is when to cover, right? You all heard cover an honor with an honor. You think that's true all the time? No, it's not. You still have to think. And you can see this example I put on the board. South bids a diamond, north bids 3 diamonds, south bids 3 no trump, and you're sitting with 4 diamonds to the queen, and they lead the jack. You can cover it? No, not if you want to play with that partner again. Basically, why not? How many diamonds does your partner have?
Not many.
0 or 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, this guy opened a diamond, and this guy has 5 diamonds, and you have 4. So he must have at least 3 diamonds, right? That leaves at most your partner has 1. If you play the queen,
They're just gonna run them all.
now you have no chance of getting a trick. And if you think about it, after you see the jack on the diamond, jack of diamonds on the table, and you pause, you might as well show them, hey, I got the queen. Because what else are you thinking about? Yeah, if you don't have the queen, you would just play low, right? So if you stop and think, it's too late to make the right play. There's no more right play. You're going to lose your queen. They're going to finesse you for the queen because you just told them you have something to think about. The only thing to think about is the queen, right? And
He's gonna get it anyway.
maybe he needs enough entries, and maybe your partner does have 1, and he'll come up with the king. If he plays the king on the first trick, you'll get your queen.
Yeah.
If you play the queen or you pause, you never get your queen. So why you cover an honor with an honor is when you're setting up a trick for you or your partner. Like if I change this, and now they lead the jack, what do?
We play queen.
Play the queen, because I'm going to set up my 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that's not real hard to think about ahead of time, especially if they're bidding diamonds and they're playing no trump. You could bet they're going to be playing diamonds pretty quick. And you should have thought of that before.
And get that card sort of ready to pull.
Well, in tempo, you don't want to play any faster or any slower. And usually, and you have the king XX, even if they have the 10, right? They may or may not have the 10, but if they play the queen from the board, the standard play is duck it. Duck it the first time. When they play the jack, then you cover it. Why? Well, one thing that could happen is your partner could have the ace, and if you cover it, you won't feel real good when your ace and king both go down on that queen, right? The other one is maybe they have more than one way to play it. Maybe they have 4 of them. And they need, and they can't afford to let you in, right? Sometimes you can't afford to take the finesse, right? Like I do that all the time, like I'll make it look like I'm taking a finesse, but if I can't afford to take it, I'm coming up with the ace, right? Like nothing makes you look dopier than when you go down in a cold contract, right? Well, I was going for the finesse for an overture. Meanwhile, you didn't make the contract. So sometimes it looks like they're taking the finesse, but they can't afford to. Maybe you could run 5 tricks. So in any case, the standard is you don't cover the queen, wait for the jack. And that'd be true whether they have the 10 or not. Here's the dummy has king, queen, another one. And the player leads low, and they put up the king, right? People do that all the time. And bad players all the time do what?
Kick it.
Take it. They can't take it fast enough, right? Aces are meant to take kings, right? They'll tell you that. They'll take that, and it's not always wrong, but it's almost always wrong. Like, each case is different. Like, if you think there's a chance your ace is going to disappear, yeah, take it. But most of the time, your ace isn't disappearing. Why do you duck it the first time? When you're playing the hand, what's one of the key things you have to keep track of? Which really is a pain, right?
Transportation.
The entries, right? It's really a pain keeping track of entries, right? It's one of the hardest parts of the game, but that's part of it. You got to know how to get back and forth. Like, lots of times you see you have good tricks, but you can't get to them anymore because you burned your entry. If they play the king and you play the ace, they now know where the ace is. You just played it, right? If you duck it,
I don't know.
not only don't they know, they think you don't have it. Because most people, when I see the king and I have the ace, it's like Pavlov's dog, right? Down comes the ace. They're going to think you don't have it. They're going to come back to their hand and they're going to burn an entry.
Jeff, this is all a part of the rule of 7?
No,
Oh, no, okay,
this is just thinking.
okay. I was gonna say, on the rule of 7, is that only for no trump?
Well, it's usually for no trump, but it's, because that's, occasionally you could do it for, it's a matter whether you could let them, whether you want to let them lead a suit you don't have any more of, right?
Okay.
So that's
I
why
don't
you
know
use
the
it.
rule of 7.
Well, I'll go over that after this. But
Okay,
anyway, you lead, you make them burn an entry to come back to their hand so they could lead low toward the queen. And then you take your ace. Make them burn an entry. So those are kind of standard things. Okay, and now, the rule of 7. One of the things as declare, you don't want them to put the dangerous hand on lead. So if somebody could hurt you, you gotta keep them off lead. And a typical case is maybe they got this. This is lefty. Dummy. Then you have the ace and 2 little ones. Without talking about the bidding, especially if you're playing no trump, you can be sure they're going to lead the king, right? Unless you pay them not to, they're going to lead the king. And, you know, you obviously you'll lead. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you're, and what you're worried about if you're playing no trump is they're going to get in with their entry and they're going to run the rest of their clubs, right? And you're going to go down, right? You're in 3 no trump. They just took 4 clubs and whatever their entry is. So what you need to do is when they lead the king of clubs, and they play one of these, and they play one of those, is you have to resist the urge to take the ace, right? Also, if you see somebody who does the ace, that's somebody you don't want to play with.
And that's in no trump only.
Especially in no trump.
Right. Because you might get it trumped if you hold off on the second one.
Right, so it's usually a no trump. Occasionally you would have to worry about it in a suit contract if you have a trump problem and you can't let this guy get in and make you trump their long suit because they'll have more trump than you will. So that's kind of a somewhat rare case. So it's usually no trump. Anyway, the rule of 7 is seven. That's why it's rule of 7, right? Minus what?
How many trump?
Well,
Yeah.
it
Is it
doesn't
only
have to be
trump?
trump. But
Oh, it doesn't have to be trump, so
No,
it can be a
this-
suit?
yeah, but
or-
we're playing no trump. There is no trump, right?
Okay,
Okay.
all
So
right,
what am I
that's what I wanted to ask.
What am I subtracting from 7?
The trump or
Cards being played.
Your card.
that
Your
suit
number?
contract that you're leading?
I know. The number,
Dummy and you,
the number in the suit that you have.
both the dummy and you.
Yeah, both the dummy and you.
So minus
So
6.
here, I think I put up,
Six.
So you hold up once.
yeah, because there's 6 of them, right? 3 and 3, 3 cards. 3 cards. 6. That's what you subtract.
And that can be in a suit contract or
Rarely,
no
but
trump.
usually no trump. Usually no trump.
So what, so that's after the first lead, is that what you're talking
No,
about?
that's telling you how many times you duck.
On any
Period.
lead?
No, against that suit.
in-
They're leading in
in
long
any
suit.
particular suit, okay.
Well, the defense is long suit.
Okay, so it's the opening lead.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, okay.
usually it's the
Okay.
opening lead.
That's what I
Occasionally somebody will do something tricky, but it's the suit that you care about the most that you don't want to run against you.
Generally,
Like this suit, right? You're gonna run 5 of these if you let them, or 4 of these if you let them, plus the entry, down 1, right? So here it tells you, you would duck once. That's Rule 7. Now, if dummy doesn't have that,
Twice.
so now you got only 5 cards, right? So you're gonna duck
Twice.
twice. It's a suit that you don't want to run against you.
Can I add? Okay, so if you noticed, when he ducked once, there were only 2 cards in that suit in the right hand. And what it does is it cuts off communication. And that's so that if the opponent, the other person gets in, they can't lead it back.
You're right. Basically, that's the whole point, to break communications. All right. We're going to go through some hands where you need to think, but you should be able to figure it out, but most people don't.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, they don't because they play mechanically. They play mechanically, you're thinking where you're going for lunch, you know. So you have to be thinking all the time to get these. And I can tell you, when I played with Aletha, she never got them wrong. And I can tell you, anytime I got them wrong, I got to hear about it.
Frequently?
Frequently. Well, we played a lot of hands, right? Yeah, what she would tell me is, what were you thinking? And I thought I wasn't really thinking on that hand. Okay, and these all come from this guy. Older from the ACBL bulletins. I once contacted him to let him know I was using his hands. And he said I could use them as long as I gave him credit for it. So I'm giving him credit for it.
We'll let him know.
I played against him in a tournament once. Okay. Anyway, you don't know that for sure, but what you do know for sure, if you're gonna get a fourth trick, you're gonna need 2 club tricks, and your partner's gonna need you to play it before they disappear. So yeah, you do trump the second heart. Most people wouldn't even think about it, right? Like, why would I like?
I just burned a good card.
Right, right. But here, it's, you're not getting any more of these, any more of these, any more of these. If I'm gonna set the contract, it's gonna be with the clubs, and I'm gonna have to lead it. Okay, let's look at another one. And again, almost everybody gets that wrong, not because they couldn't figure it out, because they weren't even thinking. They weren't thinking about the deal. They were thinking about what a terrible hand I have, and I can't wait to get the next one. That won't help you on this one. And if you don't trump that second heart and bang back a club, they make it. And if you're playing with the Letha, you'll hear about it. And how the bidding goes is south opens two spades, right? Which most people would do, right? A week 2 bid. They got 6 of them, right? And this is like almost like a perfect suit to be, make a week 2 because you have good intermediates that are going to be really useful in spades. And then north, it's what?
4.
Sure. You know you don't have enough for slam because south doesn't have a good hand. You know you have 8 spades. You don't need to drag it out. 4 spades, right? So that's what. And if you're west, people are gonna keep banging those down, right? Certainly not gonna lead a spade, right?
You don't have a little tough.
Right.
No.
So,
Oh,
Okay.
there's 3 tricks if they lead them.
pardon me?
There's 3 tricks if they lead them in diamonds.
Yeah, well, you could be sure they're leading. They're gonna play ace, king, queen. These go, these go. Those go. What are you pitching on the third one? What are you playing?
Heart.
I'd signal with a heart. I want you to leave me a heart,
Well, that'd be a really hard signal to figure it out, right?
because it's a 2 or a 3.
Unless you're upside down, then it
Yeah.
works.
Or unless you always tell your partner, my first discard is what I want.
And that's kind of a strange discard rule.
Yeah?
Upside down would work.
Yeah, upside down it would be clear.
Perfect.
Not perfect, there's a better one to play than
No,
that.
but I mean, if that worked, okay, so.
Trumpet and lead the ace of hearts.
Trump, exactly right? You have them set. And if you just discard, maybe they'll find the club and maybe they won't. If you trump it, the guess goes away, right? So, so on that third diamond, you're only getting, these trumps are, even though you got 5 of them, are hardly gonna take any tricks, right? Use one so you could cash ace of clubs, and if you, the ace of hearts, if you don't, what happens? They pull trump, and the heart disappears on the clubs. Kind of a similar thing. It's not real hard to think about, right? If you decided, like you figured it out, and after seeing the prior hand, you should have figured this one out too. It's the same idea, right? Just, you could take the
So-
setting
so
trick
there
for
is-
sure,
there-
or make them guess.
So this hand though is hidden. You don't know he's got 3 diamonds. You know, he might just have 2 and your partner may have had 6.
Right, that's true.
And so then your ace gets trumped and then his king, queen, jack, 10 is set.
Now remember, your ace isn't getting trumped. Your ace is the ace of hearts.
I know, that's what I'm saying. If he doesn't, if he doesn't have a heart,
His
Yeah.
self gets rid of his
that's
hearts.
possible. He doesn't have a heart and he has an extra diamond, or he doesn't have that other diamond,
Yeah,
then he trumps your spade. So you're taking a chance, right? Why not?
even if it's like you said, now you're not setting the contract no matter what. If this guy has 0 hearts, it's over.
But you're still taking the diamond trick, that's
Well,
what
you
you're saying.
still
You're
get-
still taking
You're still taking ace, king of diamonds, and a trump. You get 3 tricks.
Right.
What you're saying is there might be no chance. That's true, there might be no chance, and then it doesn't make any difference if you make the right play or not. But you're not giving up a trick by trumping, and what you're doing is it's likely that they have something in hearts. Is it guaranteed? Sure not. They could have just what you said, no hearts, they'll trump your ace, and you did it for nothing. But it costs you nothing because then you weren't making your ace anyway. And they got plenty of tricks, right? If they're looking at all those clubs, right? Okay, here's another one that people get wrong all the time. But you don't always get rewarded for making the right play, but at least it gives you a chance, or a better chance.
Jeff, I never know exactly when, you counted and when your partner leads again, and I never know whether to make them, let's say they didn't have any hearts and you knew that. You had a bunch of hearts, your board had a bunch of hearts, your heart, maybe your partner has 2 hearts. But I don't know, like if it comes around and they play off up there and it comes around, do I need to play a trump in order to make them trump?
Well, basically, if they have all the hearts,
Right,
then you don't have to worry about losing your ace, right? If you see they have king, queen, jack, 10, you know, if this was hearts instead of clubs, well, you're not gonna have to worry about losing your ace, so you're gonna need that suit. But here, because of the 2 spade bid, you know all they need is tricks somewhere, and they figure you're gonna get it, they're either gonna get it from hearts or clubs. Coupled with their spades, we get them to 10 tricks. Okay, so the point is, if they didn't have these good clubs, like if they had just 4 little clubs, and that kind of hand, hopefully they wouldn't have been 4 spades, but if they did, well, now you don't need to worry about taking your ace of hearts, right? Because it's coming, right? Because the board has nothing to pitch hearts on. But here, unless you're really unlucky and you're avoiding hearts, and sometimes you will be really unlucky and they will pitch the heart. But in most cases, they're gonna have a singleton, maybe a doubleton, and you need to get your ace now or never. And if you leave it to partner, maybe your signal will be good enough that it'll do it, and maybe you won't. And there's no reason to make partner make a good play when you could make a good play and just cash it, lay down your ace.
okay.
We're gonna do this one real fast. You're west. And you're on defense, and the contract is 4 spades. We'll skip the bidding to shorten this up. They're playing 4 spades, and everybody in the world is gonna do what? What are you gonna lead?
The ace of hearts.
Sure, you're gonna lead the ace of hearts, and now you see the queen, jack, 10, they play one of them. What's your second lead?
Don't play that king, I don't think.
And you see that, right?
Yeah, you see it, there's a dummy, you're on lead.
Oh, well, let's see.
That's a
1, 2, 3,
diamond.
4, 5,
Oh,
6,
your
7,
partner has the
8.
ace? Is that possible?
Well,
5.
Carol had it right the first time.
What's up?
It's not so much what you do play, it's what you don't play. You don't play the king. And most people will, right? Because I'm playing my king before it disappears, right? That's what goes through your mind. And not only that, after I play my king, I don't have to do too much thinking anymore. Later on, I'll get my king of spades, and the thinking will be over for me. Why don't you play the king?
That's
Because
up
you're
there.
setting up
So
the
your partner can leave it back for
queen
you.
or they're
Well, it's not so much that, it's
setting it up and
you set up
the
the
queen.
third card for a discard, and and it won't take it, won't run over by putting the hand out. But anyway, you give them the discard, that's what lets them make the contract. You find the killing switch, and you get, probably gonna get another chance at it anyway with the king of spades, right? But if you play the ace and king, if they just need one pitch, you just gave it to them. Okay, I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Next one.
Next month.
Next month, right, next month.
We take it next week.
Yeah.
Jeff, on that bid, that first bid that you had up here, you said one